This is the most terrifying alien. It parasitizes in the human stomach and intestines in a long form. Late at night, the man's limbs twitched, his eyes darkened, he suddenly fell over and vomited sticky blood. Then the alien slowly crawled out of the body. After breathing in oxygen, it gradually changed from a long shape into a strange monster. And the next second it shows its ferocity. However, the monster and man have a perfect symbiotic relationship, which endows it with regenerative ability. All the pain will be quickly cured. The man is called Konstantin. He was originally an astronaut. Not long ago, the space agency sent the two men into space when they were ready to return to Earth. The return cabin suddenly shook violently and lost contact with the ground. When the cabin became stable, the teammates' expressions gradually solidified. He saw something terrible outside the cabin. In the evening, the re-entry capsule slowly landed on the ground, because the astronauts sat on the ground, and the signs of life completely disappeared. Konstantin crept out of the cabin. That night, Konstantin was isolated by the nearby military, and he completely lost the memory of returning. In order to solve the mystery, the general asked Tatiana, a neurologist. However, the general had already found the monster in the Konstantin and told the secret to Tatiana. The room slowly fell down. At 2 in the morning, the monster will climb out of the body, and Konstantin with active muscles and bones will fall asleep. Tatiana actively approached the monster, but found that the monster liked her. Tatiana slowly lay on its side, and the monster did the same. At this time, the tumbler attracted the attention of the monster. Tatiana saw the intention of the monster, and she wanted to use the tumbler to contact the monster. So Tatiana put on her spacesuit and slowly opened the bulletproof glass. She put the tumbler in front of the monster. The monster did not attack her, but loved the tumbler. Tatiana took the opportunity to touch it. As a result, she slipped on the ground overnight. The monster felt dangerous and suddenly launched an attack. Fortunately, the general opened the glare monster in time and was repelled. When he returned to the room, he temporarily lost his ability to attack. The soldier quickly dragged Tatiana out of the room, which saved her. Tatiana was puzzled. The monster and Konstantin were symbiotic. She checked the monitoring records, but unexpectedly found that the video had clips. Tatiana asked the attending doctor, but the man with glasses answered vaguely, which made Tatiana suspect that they still hid some secrets. Under the constant questioning of Tatiana, the glass man secretly took Tatiana into the military prison and asked her to hide in the car to watch the monster eat. But the scene made Tatiana's hair stand on end. The monster climbed in front of the prisoner and bit off the man's head. The fasting scene is really disgusting. It turns out that monsters are based on cortisol. Only people can secrete this substance in fear, but their actions are still discovered by the general. The general told Tatiana that these people were all murderers and deserved to die, but Tatiana could not accept them. The general said that he can use monsters to develop powerful weapons, and he also needs to observe and eat at a close range in Tatiana. The general ordered his men to bring 2 prisoners. The monster was put into an iron cage and slowly climbed up to the prisoner. Tatiana couldn't bear it. She decided to stop all this. The general didn't stop her. Tatiana rushed into the cage and walked in front of the epidemic. She is the only human who is not afraid of aliens, because she knows that once she is afraid, her body will secrete cortisol, and the monster will immediately use it as food, and it will tear its teeth and growl. Tatiana pretended to be calm, closed her eyes, and sang Konstantin's favorite song. Then the monster slowly calmed down. Unexpectedly, a prisoner leaned against the cage and made a noise. The monster turned to look at the prisoner. He quickly jumped onto the prisoner and swallowed the man's head. In the face of the horrible feeding scene, the general asked Tatiana to work out a way to control the monster as soon as possible. Back to the dormitory, Tatiana, after careful consideration, she decided to have stripped Konstantin, but left. When they ran in the morning, Tatiana told Konstantin that the monster was parasitic on him, so they agreed to meet in the laboratory in the early morning. As usual, the military personnel fed Konstantin with sleeping pills, and when the military personnel left, Konstantin spit out the sleeping pills, crushed the pills with a spoon, poured them into the tea, and then seduced the guard to drink the tea. The two met in the laboratory as scheduled. Konstantin took out a magnet to interfere with the monitoring, and he took Tatiana to sneak into the B laboratory. Today, when Tatiana saw the X-ray film, she realized that Konstantin knew all about it. Konstantin told Tatiana that in fact, he did not lose memory, but also shared consciousness with the monster. The reason for pretending to be crazy is just to leave here safely, because the son of the orphanage still needs him to get back. The two decided to find a chance to escape. Later, the general told Tatiana everything. She always wondered why there were 2 astronauts in space. Why did the monster only live inside the Konstantin? In the research, Tatiana finally found out the reason. Konstantin's teammate was suffering from a recessive disease, which was not detected by the hospital before going into space, but the monster could be easily distinguished. Tatiana took the opportunity to persuade the glass man to help them escape together. The glass man agreed because he was forced to participate in the research. Once the government knew that everyone would go to the military court, they made a careful plan and began to take action. Tatiana took it out and wanted to put down the guards, but the general found it all. The glass man asked the two to leave first and tried to hold the general back. He sneaked into the general's office and called outside to report what the military region had done. Just after his words, the general broke in and shot him dead. The two people who escaped were also stopped by the soldiers. They had no choice but to inject stimulants into their bodies and forcibly release the monsters from their bodies. Confronted with the soldiers, the monster rose slowly and looked very tall. The army launched a fierce attack on the monster. The monster dodged into the bottom of the car one by one. Constantine forcibly controlled the monster with his consciousness. He suddenly ran out and attacked a soldier. The crowd quickly shot at the bottom of the car. The monster was completely angered and rushed into the crowd. The crazy hunting of soldiers was not his opponent at all. The whole army was wiped out in a blink of an eye. At this time, the general threw out a smoke bomb, and the monster turned its head and jumped at the general. The monster screamed. The combat effectiveness of the monster that lost its host decreased significantly. But the general was also seriously injured and lost an arm. On the other side, Tatiana said that the two sides were fighting, and she sent Constantine to the military vehicle, and they drove out of the restricted area. In order to ensure that the monster will no longer fight back, the general shot him again. At the same time, the host is also extremely painful, spitting blood from the monster fish tank. But it is completely symbiotic. As long as one party dies, the other party will also die. Moreover, the separation time between the parasite and the host should not exceed 2 hours, otherwise they will die together. However, the general had caught up with them, lifted a box from the car, opened the glass door, and the monster lay in it. The general was very angry about what Tatiana did. He grabbed Tatiana's injured arm, which made her fall to the ground in pain, but he actually fell in love with her. Watching his lover being tortured, Constantine broke out completely. He turned a black eye and tried his best to wake up the monster. It received the host's consciousness, climbed out of the box, and instantly destroyed all the soldiers around. When the general responded, the monster quietly appeared on the roof. He jumped up and bit off the general's head. At this time, there was only a trace of breath left. The monster finally returned to Constantine. Just looking at the government motorcade coming from afar, he knew that he could not escape. The monster would sooner or later harm more human beings. He took advantage of his carelessness, immediately pulled his pistol and shot it through his chest, killing himself as a monster. Finally, Tatiana returned to the city and adopted Constantine's son. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe, because by subscribing you have supported me to make better videos. What movie do you want next? Just comment below. Have a nice day.